Hey, folks, thank you so much for being with us. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Phil Thompson. I will be your master of ceremonies today, as I usually am. And we really do appreciate you spending some time with us today. This is going to be a great webinar. We have Jamie Staller with us from Outreach Marketing. We'll introduce him in a moment. But this is called Amplify Your Ministry. Grow your ministry using your live stream website and outreach tools. Outreach Marketing is who we're going to introduce today. They are one of the sponsors here. And we're going to talk about how you can strategically use social media to drive people to your live streaming, to your website, as well as a dive into some of the great marketing tools that Outreach Marketing has. They have some really cool stuff, which you're going to learn something from here. We're all going to learn something today. And so we do want to mention, make sure you check out our webinars at streamingchurch.tv. We help churches not only stream, but do other things when it comes to ministry. So streamingchurch.tv/webinar. Check out our past webinars. The gang said I needed to move fast through
You're
this.
doing a great job.
So here's Steve Lacey. He's the founder and CEO of streamingchurch.tv. And then you have Michael Ray, who helps with tech support and marketing. And then you got me, and nobody knows what I do here, and that's okay. And then you've got Jamie Staller, who is with Outreach Marketing. He's the VP of Marketing and Outreach Incorporated. And Jamie, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'm going to let you share your screen.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go ahead and flip over to my screen here.
There you go.
I'll touch on this, and then my next one, I'll go into me a little bit. So talking about digital being your new front door. I love this image of this person coming up saying, hello, what's going on? Is anyone home? But, how to reach more people and welcome them well. I'm Jamie Staller. I'm Vice President at Outreach Incorporated. I'm over our marketing products division. And in terms of ministry impact, we work with a lot of churches. During my time in executive leadership at Outreach, we've helped over 100,000 churches. So, we're not, just theory in how to help churches. We work with a lot of churches all across the United States every year. We love what we do. We have a mission and vision. Our mission is to equip the capital C Church to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And our vision is to invite every home in America with a personal invitation to a Bible-believing church. So we live this, we breathe it every single day, and we love it. So today's agenda, in terms of what I'll be going through at least, a lot of basics, but we can cover things kind of broad stroke, but then there's a lot of details where you can really dive into each of the subtopics within these three. So website clarity, Google listing, and social media. So first one, talking about, generally talking about digital, why does digital presence matter? Number one, 85% of people own a smartphone. So 85% of Americans own smartphones and spend nearly 7 hours daily online. That's a lot of time online. I recently, my son was playing it was actually just a puzzle game of like putting together a puzzle digitally yesterday, and he was supposed to be doing homework. And we asked him, hey, what are you doing? And he was sitting there like doing puzzle pieces. So I learned how to go to an app and see how much time he had been spent on this particular puzzle app. So I went to mine phone to see where I'm spending time, and I was like, wow, how am I spending that much time on Facebook? Like I don't even have that much time when I'm not working, right? And so it was just an eye-opener, and right in there I was able to limit the amount of time that I'll allow myself on there each day.
So I have a question for you. So we're both from Ohio originally. How much time do you spend looking at the Cleveland Browns?
We were just talking about this. Phil, unfortunately, is a Pittsburgh fan, but, the Browns, it runs deep in the veins, and dog pound all the way.
All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Like
move
30
on.
quarterbacks, so we've got to have a decent season.
Something will happen. Okay. All right. Sorry to derail you here, but go ahead.
Local searches, 46% of all Google searches are local. So picture people, searching restaurant near me, coffee shop near me. Same thing for churches near me. I'll show an example of that here in just a moment. Credibility judgments. So 75% of people judge credibility based on the online presence. I know we moved to Chattanooga from Colorado Springs about 2 years ago. We ended up visiting about 12 churches, just trying to figure out, what's going to be the best fit for our family. And then also, like with what I do, working with churches, I really enjoy that. So I wanted to do even more, but man, 12 churches, 12 weeks, multiple months of just not being settled. So finally we decided to settle. First thing I do, I go online and check them out, right? And so what's my first impression from what I see online? 68% of churchgoers say that social media influenced their decision to visit. All of those are very heavy stats, basically saying, hey, we should make sure that we're focused on what we're doing digitally. So first of the three items, website clarity. Your website's often the first meaningful interaction potential visitors have with your church. It needs to be clear, welcoming, and easy to navigate. First impression essentials, clear service times and location. This example on the left is Rise Church in Chattanooga. Pastor David Russell, very first thing you see on their homepage says, "You're invited." It's kind of light in that light kind of greenish color, but it's invitational. You're invited. Can't be more clear than that. And Sundays, 10 a.m. And where is it located? We work with a lot of churches, as I mentioned, and so often we go to the church and the church website, we cannot find their service times or their location. So just, it's a basic thing. So keep that in mind. Easy directions, click to navigate to Google Maps. I also like here on the left example, it says get directions. You click on that, it opens Google Maps, and boom, you're ready to go. Last thing you want is somebody making a decision to finally come and then they can't figure out how to get there. Plan your visit button, we'll see that on the next screen. It's a call to action that leads to next steps. And warm, inviting welcome message like you're invited. This one here, we were in conversations in another meeting today, and we were looking at Mercy Hill Church. I think they're in North Carolina. But you'll notice here, welcome to Mercy Hill Church, welcoming message, discover the purpose you're made for. That sounds nice. Join us this weekend. That's also very invitational. Then plan a visit and find a location. So planning your visit is something that's trending, for a number of years now. And that can just simply go to a form with your CHMS platform, or I know we have some solutions where you'll click on that, it'll drop them into a form, but then that form completion triggers a whole bunch of automations that start a one-on-one conversation with somebody at the church, on staff or volunteer, and that person who's interested. So we can automate a whole bunch of messages throughout the week to remind them, hey, service is in 3 days. We look forward to seeing you. But then also ask some questions like, are you bringing kids? Any questions we can answer for you? So that way, you're helping nurture that person in those conversations leading up to a first-time visit. People are also seeking clarity. So what to expect. So you might have an about page, or on that plan your visit page, you can explain, hey, we wear suits and ties, or hey, we wear t-shirts and ball caps, right? If you want to look as good as Phil, shirt and tie, that's the church you should be looking for.
You got to cut your hair too?
I think.
Never mind, move on.
Braids, cornrows. You look good in cornrow down in like Jamaica, Phil.
Thank you very much.
And next steps, people want to be able to know, like, hey, what kind of different things are being offered here? Connection groups, small groups, life groups, women groups, etc. And then some items that build trust. So this one is interesting, especially the top one, the photos of real people, smiling faces, people at your church. Don't use stock images. It's very easy to use stock images. And as you're building out your website, your social, your Google profiles. Maybe you can use some stock images to get started. That's fine. But really, people want to connect with people. So this is a church I attended in Colorado when we lived there. And that was our tagline: be disciples, make disciples, send disciples. And very clear on there, we've got service times. But showing people right there in the sanctuary, young family, what church does not want to attract young families? So I see that, and I see it as very welcoming. Think of your website as your digital lobby. Okay, so it should answer visitors' top 3 questions: when and where do you meet? What's it like if I show up? And what do you believe? Why should I care? So the statement of belief is the obvious piece there. So that's the first of the 3 things. The second one here is Google listings. I assume many of you know this, but before people visit your website, they'll likely see your Google listing first. This is your digital curb appeal. So we talked about your website being the digital lobby. Now your Google listing is like the curb appeal before they even come in. So your digital curb appeal, it needs to make a great first impression. So a few things to think about here. Obviously, accurate times and location, especially if you just added a second service, or if you change your service times. Where Google gets confused many times is Christmas Eve services. So make sure that you go in and you try to correct that ahead of time. And then a clear description. So welcoming church in the city name, etc. So this one on the right here, this is really interesting. So there's 2 things I'm going to point out. So last week I was at a vision trip with Stadia, church planting organization, doing a really incredible job. But we met at Crossroads Church in Cincinnati. And Crossroads, we're familiar with them at Outreach. Our magazine every year we publish an issue in the fall called the Outreach Top 100. So where we focus on the top 100 fastest growing and largest churches in the United States. The month before that, we have a Small Church America issue because we want to make sure the small churches are being highlighted and valued in that editorial. But Crossroads was a couple of years ago the #1 fastest growing church in America. And the event I was at last week was being hosted at their East Campus. And it was huge. Like, I hadn't been there in person before. And the campus was so big, I thought it was their main campus. So then reach out to a friend of mine who's their comms director. And she was at the main campus. And it was 4 or 5 times the size of the East one. Multiple locations all throughout. The reason I mention that is very, very dominant church in that area. What's interesting is I Googled Crossroads Church Cincinnati, and guess what? They showed up as #2 because this other Crossroads Church did a sponsored ad and showed up ahead of it. I did that just locally here because I was testing this out, and a church showed up that I had not even heard of, and because it was sponsored, it got me to check it out. So this is something that we're offering some services to, basically like a church search type of thing. But man, if you are not crushing it, if you do a church near me, you're not showing up on the top. It's not automatic, right? It's not just because you're close by, you're going to get there. Google ranks it based off of certain metrics, right? So Google, reviews. Do you have certain site map on your website? Do you have pictures being loaded, etc.? Anyways, you can jump ahead by putting a little bit of money behind a paid Google search here. So the reason I point this one out too is right underneath that top one, it says Crossroads Community Church. This is the clear description: a community that loves Jesus, a church that is not a building or denomination. We're a family of faith, the body of Christ. So that's where you can put in that description. If you're not putting money behind it, you want to grow this search organically. It's about probably the biggest thing is reviews and images. So encourage your existing congregation to go on your website or go to Google and put in a review, and add images as much as possible. Don't add images of just like an empty sanctuary. You want to show people in live action. So keep that
I got a
in mind.
quick question before you move on to this. You mentioned your Google listing, and there's going to be potentially two, right, for the church, for an opportunity for the church, because there's going to be the search and they're going to get listed, but there's also Google business listings that show up on the side. Where are you talking about, both of those, or?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think on this particular one, it was.
The one you're showing looks more like search results,
Yeah, I
whereas
think this one was
the
search.
business has the ratings and has a link to their menu if it's a restaurant and stuff like that.
Yeah, local SEO. I mean, there's certain things that will act similarly. Couple must-haves for a great impression. We mentioned the photos and videos. So this is another church down the street from me here, Silverdale. Probably the biggest in the area where I'm located. But to the right here, reason I pointed this out is this is actually a video. It's like a 15-second video that somebody just took from the balcony. But what it shows is, okay, is this young people? Is it old people? Is it a mix? And in this particular video, to me, I'm seeing that and say, okay, it's probably a mix, but leans a little older, So when you think about, what kind of presents are you giving? If you're not wanting to show older, you may want to try to offset that with some pictures of youth, right? And we mentioned reviews. So now this one here, Steve, to your point, Calvary Chapel, this is more the local search on the that would show up on the right side if you're on a desktop or a laptop. So think of your Google listing as curb appeal. Before they ever visit your website, most seekers will see your church Google profile. So it should look alive, accurate, and welcoming. Right?
So, Jamie, serious question here. I mean, so as a pastor, this is where I can see getting a little bit overwhelmed, because, all right, we're getting our website down, but now we got to do this with Google listings. So I know we've got Q&A here at the end, and I encourage people to give us some Q&A. But I mean, you have tools that you guys can do this for a local church, right?
We do, yeah. We've not gone super, super deep into this, but we are heading in this direction. So if you need help with this, reach out and we'd be happy to connect with you and walk through this with you. But essentially, Steve pointed out, you'll create a Google business, you'll essentially claim that business and then you're managing that business. Okay. And then when you're in that management little portal, Google's pretty straightforward. It's like it asks you a couple of the main things: phone number, hours, description. If you want to pre-load it with some images, you can do that. When you click, like, say, for example, this one, if you go to see photos, I like to do this with restaurants, where I'm a big Google reviewer. I'm like top 10% in the country for restaurant reviewers. Which is kind of wild. But when you click on photos, you open it up and then the top gives you categories, right? So if you're at a restaurant, it'll say, photos by the owner, photos of food, and photos of vibe. So if I'm looking for like a restaurant where I can see a whole lot of people, I'm looking for big tables, right? So same thing with the church. It's very similar. You get categories within there that Google will just automatically place. But you want to load photos in there, ask your people to load images and videos. But then the Google reviews, I think, is really key. If you've got, if I'm doing a search for a restaurant, for example, and somebody's got 3,000 reviews and it's mostly positive compared to another restaurant that's got 5 reviews, I'm going to choose the one that's more popular, So, church, it's very similar. Big thing here, make sure you're paying attention to the hours. I know Wednesday night, even the church I go to, for a long time, we have Wednesday prayer service and Bible study, and it was showing Wednesday is closed. Well, nobody's going to show up, if it's not showing that it's open. All right.
Real quick here, when it comes to reviews, and I learned this from Steve Lacy when it talks about buying products. Do you look at some of the poor reviews as well? And I
Yeah.
realize sometimes the poor reviews, they may not be accurate, or they might be. I mean, and what if your church gets a poor review? What as a leader, what do you do about that?
Yeah. So I'd say the biggest thing with reviews is always comment. So at Outreach, for example, I try to make a point for a long time to respond to every single one. And I think it was, over 400 or so that I personally responded to. They're really mostly all good except for a couple. And then those couple, say, okay, well, is there something internally that we need to fix, or is this just somebody that's disgruntled? And the way, if you're looking at a church, or let's use the restaurant example, right? You can kind of quickly see somebody's negative review and get an understanding like, hey, was this legit, or are they maybe a little unfair, in their analysis. But if I see the owner or the business, manager in there responding positively, hey, thank you for the positive review. We really value your feedback. That tells me I'm going to be valued if I go in. I'm going to be valued if I give my positive opinion. But if there's a negative response, I see that as an opportunity more than anything. Like some people can get mad about a negative review, and it can be like completely cutting. Even if it's super, super unfair, it might bring your rating down temporarily. But if people see the owner's response or the business manager's response, and they're able to show that it's fair and balanced in how they approach it, I think that goes a long way to tell you, or tell the person searching what they can expect out of the church. So you flip that negative into a positive in my mind. So last piece, social media. So I'm going to walk through a couple of these pieces, and I'm going to switch over to kind of give a little bit of a live demo to paint a picture a little bit of something for you. But social media allows you to build relationships, share your church's personality, and engage with your community throughout the week. I know we all know this, but it's more than just a bulletin board. So as you see this here, building relationships is the key piece. Your personality is a key piece, and engaging community throughout the week is a key piece. You're not just saying, hey, service time here, service time here, service time here. So profile cover images, use clear church logo, pretty basic stuff. If you have a good story or a post, you can pin it at the top, or if you have a certain event that's coming up, pin that at the top. And then consistent branding, try to match the tone and fonts from your website. Behind the scenes content and showing church life, volunteers, serving, kids ministry fun, those kind of things really help paint the picture. And then sermons, clips, and quotes. So this is where, the streaming piece can come full circle. So I know you guys partner with Sermon Shots. That team, they do a great job. There's some other solutions out there that can basically take your streaming clips or your streaming videos, upload it or paste a link to your YouTube, and then AI will transcribe it and then come out with some suggested clips, such as this one here. And we also have a solution for that called Outreach Social. And at the end, I'm going to share an offer with everybody. But this is my pastor here, and one of the things I like to say is it really helps it gives your sermon more legs and helps spread that message from Sunday throughout the entire week. And it's engaging both for your congregation, but as you get this out more and more, people love those short digestible clips, and it can stick, right? So whether it's your congregation or new people that are just catching it because congregation is sharing it, you can even promote it. But if you're not doing this, I encourage you to do it. It's super effective and extremely affordable. So, and when you think, hey, I'm not a video editor, I don't know how to do any of that, don't worry about that, because the systems now are so easy. It basically does it for you. Okay. Go to trust and engagement. So two-way engagement, reply to those comments, thank visitors for checking you out, just like you would on Google. Do the same thing on social media. And pastor, if you're a pastor on here or church staff, I understand what it's like wearing many, many hats in ministry. You don't have to do it all. So if you're not the one that has time to do this, recruit somebody that can, and just equip them and empower them to do that. Event recap. So this one I liked, this is from our VBS, and just showing, man, there's life in the church. There's kids in here. They're doing fun stuff. And here's another one on the right that is generated from Outreach Social, which I'll show you here in a second. So basically, Outreach Social, we've got a graphics library of over 4,000 graphics, professionally designed. If you look down in the image here in the bottom right corner, it also has our church's logo on there. Now, our system will automatically superimpose that for you. So it makes your church look like you've got a big design team that's cranking these out all the time. But really, all you did, you took 5 minutes and you set up your entire year's worth of social media posts in just a short amount of time. So member testimonials, if you can have that on social, prayer and encouragement posts are great as well. So how can we be praying for you today? People respond, and try to keep that conversation going. Don't just post it and leave it. Okay. So this is where special offer for Outreach Social. We're going to give 50% off your first year using code Jamie50. All right. Now I'm going to switch screens and just do a quick walkthrough. Let's see, here we go. All right. So this is Outreach Social. So I believe you go to social.outreach.com. When you first log in, and by the way, I'm sharing this with you, walking through to just show you how easy some of this can be, specifically when it comes to boosting your social media, taking your streaming videos and bringing them over and making bite-sized, digestible clips. First, your sermons are up here on this main dashboard. If you want to upload a new sermon, you can go down this path. Bio upload, YouTube, or if you have a text or a document from your sermon notes, you can paste them in here. So if you've got a YouTube channel connected, you can come in here, just select it, choose your date, or enter in a YouTube URL and then hit upload. So AI will take that, transcribe it, and come out with suggested clips for you. Then you can go in and edit the wording. You can edit, positioning of where you want those words, drop shadows, all those little fine details. But where I'm going to focus more is on the auto post scheduling. So if you want to very easily create daily posts, you'll come in here on your dashboard, hit create auto post scheduler. It's going to take you in, and we'll say streaming webinar test. So you can name each of your things. You'll come in here. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. You'll come in here, choose your time. I want to do 10:30 a.m. We'll leave this mountain time, and I want it only on weekdays. All right. I'll hit next. I'm going to come in here, choose which categories I want. I'm a church, a school, organization. I'll leave it on church. I want to go into advanced and see, what are Friday posts? So Friday, worship with us this weekend. Did you hear the good news? It's finally Friday, right? People like that. Inspirational posts. Let's see, conversational ones. Like, what simple pleasures bring you joy? Whose faith do you admire? Someone to look up to is, how can we pray for you? That kind of stuff. and then people will respond to those. If we want to look at scriptural, you can choose what kind of scriptures you want: kingdom, Israel, hope, Holy Spirit, Sabbath. What versions of the Bible do you like? Okay, so I'll select all of those. Well, these others are selected. Now the thing is that, like, if you choose Christmas and Easter, it'll automatically schedule those around those time frames. So it's not going to post a Christmas one in July, for example. So you choose your categories, hit next. Then you're going to choose the Facebook or Instagram or X account that you want to post this to. If I want to add more, I can add as many as I would like here. So even if you have campuses, you can basically set up separate auto scheduler for each campus. You'll hit submit, and bada bing, I just set up a daily post for the entire year in just a matter of a minute or two. This gives a little welcome video, but if I want to go and see basically what I just set up, I'll go into my post calendar, and I've got a bunch of different auto post schedulers set up, but I can basically say, hey, on Sunday, this is what's going to post. Monday, this was going to post. If I want to come in here, click on it, want to edit it, I can come in, add a description, type that in. I can change the date. If I had multiple social accounts on here, I can deselect or select different ones, and then post now, right? So just in a very short amount of time, I'm able to come in and schedule posts throughout the entire year. Now, and a couple other things I'll show you. I mentioned in that one sample where it had our church's logo down in the corner. So you'll upload your logo here. Ideally, you'll have a PNG logo. So a PNG allows for a transparent background. That way you're not having like a big white block over top of each one of these. I think it just helps you look a little bit more professional. And if it's a dark background, it'll automatically turn it white. If it's a light background, it'll automatically turn it dark, like this one here. So you upload your logo, and now every single one of those daily posts is also going to have your church's branding on it, which is pretty cool. So you can also come in, check out your social metrics. This one's actually just a dummy account, but you can check out your total impressions, your reach, your engagements. And then if you have different social posts, which ones, let's come down here, metrics. Let's do this guy, social posts. You can see which posts are resonating the most with your audience. Then you can come in and here, view. It'll take you to your Facebook or Instagram page or X page, and then show you how that's doing. So yeah, there you go. Now, again, you can do your social management in here. You can also come in here and do a whole separate post if you would like, get that going. Main thing is keep in mind, so that offer, I'm going to come back to this offer on here. And then Phil and Steve, we're wrapping up, and we can open it up to questions. This offer is 50% off for the whole year. We've not offered that in a long time. So if you're looking for the solution, it's a really killer deal for you. It's a 7-day free trial, so you can check out the trial, get started free. Our team will connect with you, help you walk through it if you like. There's also no contract, so you're not getting stuck if you get in and it's just not something that you're liking. I know at my church, we set them up with this, and it's a small staff. I went from a church of like 6,000 in Colorado Springs to a church of 200 here in Chattanooga. And it's just a different dynamic. The receptionist is the one who's creating the videos and doing all the social posts, and she's not a designer. She's not a video editor, but she came in, figured it out, and it just automatically happens, and it's hands off, and she loves it. So, and people are liking, commenting, sharing those posts all throughout the week. Pricing on that, I think if the basic plan, if you do it annually, it comes to $19 a month. So you get it half off of that. If you do it monthly, it's $25. So it'd be $14.50 a month. $14.50 a month is a whole lot cheaper than trying to hire a designer and a social media person to do that for you. So there you go. There's some basics with digital and how you can leverage that for your church.
Really good.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Q&A time then. I just want to encourage people to, if you have Q&A, you can put your questions in the text here. And then go ahead, Steve. You're wanting to say something.
I just had a question off the bat, and I'm not. It's a tough one, so I'm not sure you'll be able to answer it. But we're back on the topic of the Google search stuff. Google, the world is changing now with AI, and Google is now superimposing their answer. I explained this to actually a guy at church. He goes, "What's all this Chat GPT and why don't I just Google stuff?" And I said, Google will tell you where to find the stuff you can go to and read about it. AI is going to give you the answer to your question. So that whole landscape has kind of changed. Have you seen that impacting churches at all?
Yes. And I know for us at Outreach, we're impacted in many different ways. And one of the things that is still reigning true is good content is still very valuable, because the AI will read whatever content you have available throughout your sites and then use that in some of the suggested answers. When it comes to local, I've not seen it impact things as much locally, yet. More and more Google is getting to kind of what Facebook ended up going to. Like back in the day, Facebook, if you had a big, page with a lot of likes, then as you post stuff, all those people who like your page are now seeing the content. And then slowly over time, it became more of a pay to play. So even as you're posting stuff, the people that liked your page weren't seeing it. So think back to 2005, 6, 7, 8, probably 2008 to 10 is when things started to shift in that pay to play. And right now, having followers on your page doesn't really mean a whole lot on social. But similarly, I feel like Google's probably going in this direction as well. We're seeing it more and more where, your SEO dynamics are basically changing. So content is so important because AI will read that and kind of value it maybe a little higher. But more and more, like say if you do a search, you get the AI answer at the top, and then you get paid stuff below, and then you might get a big map below that. And now the organic stuff is way, way, way down, basically at the very, very bottom of page 1, all below the fold. So it feels like Google's even becoming more of a pay-to-play piece with content. And, I know Outreach, Church Leaders, Sermon Central, sermonsforkids.com that we have, we're dealing with that right now. But if I search, church near me, I don't believe that I'm getting AI stuff. So share my screen just real quick. So when I did church near me, it all came up on this top spot under places. And then there's that C4 church. It's for me, it's on the other side of the river. But I would not have known about this church if it wasn't for this ad. And I clicked on it, checked them out, and it's like, man, free fireworks for the family, food trucks, coffee, live music, bounce house, and slip and slide. I want to go there. That sounds fun, right? Especially with kids. Where these ones just feel a little bit now boring now. And then when you come down, interesting, Yelp comes up, and now you're getting into the organic results for churches nearby. Life Church is interesting to show up there because there's no Life Churches around. So they just must have some high ratings. So
Yeah.
So,
Sorry about that. So the whole the landscape's changing with Google all the time. So as you put your content together, you're going to want to do things like list your service times and things like that, so that the AI can read it. So, because eventually it's going to get more and more of that AI and says, what time or when do they meet on the weekends?
yeah, and on your website, for example, or even on your Google listing, when you do that, the more descriptive you can be about like what kind of church is this, the better Google and those AI bots basically will be able to prompt the answers. So, if somebody types in, churches near me with formal attire, I'm searching over here, see what comes up. No dress code expectations. Okay. Apparently, everyone near me is pretty lax in their attire. I think most people are promoting casual attire than they are suit and ties.
Phil has nowhere to go.
Sorry, Phil.
what are you going to do? So you mentioned something here. We got some Q&A here. Got some questions in chat. You mentioned Yelp there just a moment ago. So beyond Google businesses, the business listings, what are some other sites should our church be listed on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Yelp, certainly you could do. We've got a site right now, backtochurchsunday.com. We're doing, a big national campaign for National Back to Church Sunday. So you can go there and sign up as well. And then we're promoting that throughout the country. So churches are findable on that site too. We're also doing some citywide campaigns. Right now, we are doing an event in partnership with Alpha and some city leaders in Portland, Rob Bell and Charlotte area. Colorado Springs, we're doing an all-city campaign there as well, where we're doing a postcard mailing to every home in Colorado Springs. And we're looking at a couple other cities as well. If you're interested in something like that and you've got a good church network in your city that's meeting pretty regularly, we've got some partners with cityreach.us to come alongside with some matching grants to help come alongside and help you promote like a citywide evangelistic campaign that you're doing. But back to churchsunday.com, I'd say go there and definitely add your church to that as well.
Okay. As far as social media, what are the top sites churches should be on?
Mm-hmm. So when we run ads, we can run ads on all the platforms, but for us, Facebook has the best results in terms of running ads for churches. I'd say Instagram is second. Don't get a whole lot on X, but it can work for you. TikTok is great for organic, if you're doing those clips and you can add those clips to TikTok, that's great. But in terms of paid ads and results, we're definitely seeing the best results through Facebook.
Some of the questions here, beyond a simple welcome or join us, what are some specific examples that can be more or just as much successful in driving people from the social media platform to our live streaming or our website? So you kind of mentioned this, but go ahead and so beyond the simple welcome or join us, I guess you'd call it a call to action or something. I don't know.
Yeah, welcome or join us. A lot of the messaging that we also see is a place to belong. You belong here. All are welcome. If you go with all are welcome, it can raise some red flags. It's you want to be open, but to everyone, you want, if somebody has sin in their life and there could be a spiritual battle that's taking place, right? Where the enemy is kind of on the one shoulder, like, don't go to church, don't click on that live stream. But, if you go with the all are welcome messaging, that can help break through some of the, spiritual warfare, sin battles that people are dealing with, but along with that, I'll say too, just, if you can have a culture of prayer at your church to help break through that, I think that would be really, really great.
Here's a question. How do I know if my social media and my live stream efforts are actually working? Is there a way I can tell what's effective and what's not?
Mm-hmm. Man, I know Phil, Steve, you and I did some walkthroughs of your guys' product, and the dashboard and the metrics that you had, I thought were really incredible. So log into Streaming Church TV and check out those stats, and the numbers don't lie. Some ways that you can probably promote that more, get that message out there a little bit more. Some people will have a whole online church team, where they're in there doing comments and everything throughout, prompting questions, but then also asking someone in your congregation to share that live stream when it goes live. That can help expand the audience and the viewership. And I know if I'm just getting some random video playing as I'm scrolling on social, for example, it means a lot more if somebody I know had shared it.
My church is really small. They only have a couple volunteers. I'm trying to read this. What's the first step that they can take without getting overwhelmed with social media?
Yeah, call us and we'll help you with make it easy.
That's
I would
true.
just say, again, being in ministry, especially if you're a small team, we all end up wearing a lot of hats, right? And then it's so easy to get it swept away by the tyranny of the urgent. Oh, the water heater's leaking or the toilet's overflowing, to we ran out of communion cups and we have communion this Sunday. We've been promoting it. And you're trying to fire drill all these different things. I'd say at Outreach, one of the things that makes us unique, one, we back all of our products and our services, but we really try to focus on making it easy for churches of all sizes. So I would say, 89% of churches in America are under 250 in size. And I want to say, I saw something recently. I don't have the reference on this, but I saw somewhere that the average size church was 65, which is
About
really,
right.
yeah, which is
Yep.
interesting. So,
Yeah.
You've got a lot of big churches. Well, actually, not a lot of big churches. You've got a very small percent of large mega churches, but majority of them are very small. So therefore, you've got small teams. But where do you start? I'd say I could talk about this all day. But let me list off maybe 3 things that I'm personally passionate about when it comes to this. So number one, I'd say it starts at the budgeting. It's depending on how decisions are made inside of your church. It's a lot harder to spend money on something if it's not in the budget, right? But picture you're planning on vacation, you've been putting money away, you're planning to spend money on this one thing. Vacation time comes, you go and you spend that money because you had planned for it. Same thing with the budget with the church, right? If you're trying to get a decision to spend some money that's not planned, it's just a very difficult uphill battle. And one day into a campaign, somebody's criticizing it. Show me the results. Hey, these things take a little bit of time, and it takes consistency to really build this audience and build trust and rapport and reputation. And so I'd say start with the budgeting phase. Growing churches typically budget 3 to 10% toward marketing. 10% is a lot. I'd maybe start on that 3% range. And if you can't do 3% and you're doing 0 now, 1% is better than 0. And so start with 1 and try to work your way up to 3. And I would focus on that. And then within that conversation, you also need to get your church aligned with the vision. And so you've got to pitch the vision of where you're going and how you plan to do that, because personal invitations are going to be your number one way to drive in new visitors, and so we want to equip your members to be inviters, and that can be the cheapest way to drive new people into the front door. And one great tool to do that is just simple invitation cards. I've got, I use business card size invites. I like to keep them in my wallet. Where is my wallet?
Oops.
Pocket. I like to keep business card invitation cards in my pocket all the time, because I just never know when God's going to provide a conversation with somebody and say, hey, by the way, what are you doing on Sunday? By the time I'm done saying those words, I've got an invitation card out of my wallet. I'm handing it to them, and it's got our church name, service times, and a map on there. And it's not your job to fully bring them to salvation on conversation number one. Your job may just be to plant that seed and invite them. So start with budget, cast a vision, create an invitational culture, and then start working on focusing on that first 5-minute experience with assimilation. So if somebody's visiting your church for the first time, by the time they get to the pew or the seat or whatever seating you have, they've already decided if they're going to come back or not. And so what is that first 5 minutes experience going to look like in your church? Evaluate that, and you can update the presence, the branding and everything of your church very, very affordably. If you've got, let's say, $400 or $500, you can get started with some really cool things.
Okay, so we're running out of time or a little bit over time, but I just want to encourage people, go to social.outreach.com, or you can just go to outreach.com. But our guest today has been Jamie Stoller, and you can get a discount on this. Just the discount code, I think, is Jamie50 for 50% off, right, Jamie? Got that right?
That's correct.
All right, good deal. Well, there you go. That's good. So I just want to encourage people. I have used outreach marketing, I think, since the late 90s, if I remember right. And you guys still have stuff, we call it snail mail, but postcards and those kind of things, they're really still very effective. I've used them in 3 or 4 churches now that I've been involved in. And so lots of tools there besides the social marketing stuff there that we've been talking about. So just go to Outreach and check it out. And I think you'll be glad you did. All right, so we're done here. Streamingchurch.tv is one of the sponsors of this webinar, along with Social Outreach. And we have lots of resources ourselves. Just go to streamingchurch.tv and you'll see our menu, and you'll see our podcast and our webinars and other resources we have, because we're all about helping churches, not just with streaming video and technology, but some of these other things, just like outreach marketing is. All right, Jamie, thank you so much for your time today. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Phil, Steve, appreciate you. Everyone that was watching, thank you, and bless you. And look forward to seeing your church grow.
Yeah, and stick around for a moment, Jamie, after we're done here, and we'll wrap things up. And folks, thank you. Have yourself a great day. You can always go to streamingchurch.tv/webinar to see our webinars. Have a great day.
See ya.